My dog never growls at me, but that morning he stood rigid at the door, ears flat, teeth bared, blocking my way like something outside wanted me dead. I remember staring at him, annoyed at first, then unsettled. The house was silent, too silent. My phone buzzed on the counter. Her father, my wife's boss, a man who had never called me in tears, not even when he buried his own brother. His voice was thin, trembling. "Don't come in today," he whispered. "Why?" "They're all dead," he breathed. "Everyone who came in early. But you didn't." A ragged inhale. "They all looked like someone else." Someone else. I didn't understand. Not then. Not until much later. I stayed home, half because of the dog, half because something inside me felt off. Like a thread had been pulled, and sooner or later everything in my life would unravel. But the unraveling didn't start with the deaths. It started with a phone call that came hours later. A woman's shrill voice pierced the quiet. "If you want to join Thanksgiving, come wash the dishes." My daughter-in-law. Entitled, sharp-tongued, always grabbing, never giving. I stared at the phone, then said one word, "Enjoy," and hung up. A minute later, she saw the photos I'd posted. My villa in Switzerland, snow-drenched mountains behind glass walls, quiet, expensive serenity. My phone rang, once, twice, then 71 times. I let it ring, because by then, I knew the truth crawling under my skin wasn't about her, or Switzerland, or even the dead bodies at my wife's office. It was about the woman who'd once sworn she loved me. The signs had always been small. That's how betrayal works, slow drips until the floor caves in. She came home late too often, spoke softly in corners, smiled at her phone, then slipped it face down on the table. I pretended not to notice, pretended not to feel the shift in her touch, the coldness in her bed, the way her eyes darted when I asked simple questions. The worst part wasn't the lies. It was how carefully she crafted them, how easily she let me believe them. I told myself she was stressed, work was demanding, her boss was difficult. But then he called crying, and something about the fear in his voice, something about the way he said they all looked like someone else, dug into me, because I'd seen her look at someone else that way, with familiarity, with longing, with guilt. A man lingered too long in the doorway at her office. A laugh was shared. A touch that was accidental lasted one breath too long. None of it was enough to accuse her, but it was enough to haunt me. I didn't admit it then, but part of me had been preparing for this moment for a long time. The collapse, the reveal, the truth. I didn't ask questions. Questions warm people. Instead, I observed, quietly, patiently, like a surgeon studying a tumor before cutting it out. I checked phone records, not hers. Those were locked behind passwords she pretended she didn't change. But his. Her father's office had a publicly listed directory, extensions, call logs, and there it was, her number, over and over, after work, before work, during weekends she said she spent with her mother. Then I checked bank statements, hotel transactions, 2 rooms, paid by him, receipts buried in work travel expense. They were careful, just not careful enough. My heart didn't race, my hands didn't shake. If anything, I felt still, too still. Like all the storms I'd buried inside me had suddenly settled into a quiet, lethal calm. I ordered a DNA test kit, not for a child, for something she never expected. A strand of hair from her coat, a used coffee mug from her desk, collected when I surprised her with lunch, and something from him, a pen he kept in his office, teeth marks on the cap. I packaged everything, sent it in, then waited. Externally, I was normal, cold, routine, predictable. Internally, every hour felt like a slow peel of skin. Every sound felt like a warning. Every memory of her laughter felt like a blade dragged across my ribs. The results arrived on a rainy Thursday. A simple email, a simple line. Genetic match probability, 99.98%. Not siblings, not distant relatives, a far more intimate link. Her cells, his cells, same markers, same traces of shared saliva, a kiss, a secret, a boundary crossed long ago. I didn't confront her with shouting. I didn't scream, throw, or break. Forever. I simply placed the printed report on the dining table when she walked in. She froze. Her purse slipped from her hand. Her lips parted, first for a denial, then a lie, then something that almost looked like fear. "You misunderstood," I interrupted with a whisper. "When did it start?" Her legs buckled. She cried, begged, reached for me. I stepped back. Her tears weren't grief. They were exposure. And exposure is fatal to people like her. Revenge didn't need knives or threats, just truth and silence. I sent copies of the report to his wife, to HR, to the board. I didn't sign my name. I didn't need to. They'd trace the rot back to its source. By evening, he was suspended. She was cornered. Their carefully woven secrecy burned to ashes in a single day. She tried to come home, to talk. I didn't open the door. She pounded, pleaded, screamed. The dog growled again, low, warning, protective. I let her feel the cold through the wood, let her hear my calm breathing on the other side, let her understand what losing me truly meant. One silent minute after another, until her voice broke, and she left. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel relieved. I felt clean, as if someone had finally scraped away the mold that had been spreading through my life. People think revenge is fire. They're wrong. Revenge is ice. Slow, precise, unforgiving. I walked through the quiet house, the emptiness no longer heavy, just honest. My dog rested at my feet, finally calm. I looked at the front door one last time, and understood. She never locked me out of her heart. She'd simply never let me in. And now I was done knocking.